Hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and today is day number 336 of 365 days of awesome. Celebrate
Woohoo!
success through service. And today we have as our service hero, yes, she has been on the show before, so she already is a service hero. However, we are highlighting her again because of the work she is doing with Chemo Buddies for Life as a volunteer. So today we are going to be honoring Barbara Beckley out of Chicago. Thank you so very much for everything that you are doing, and let's just dive into it. What do you say?
Oh yeah, let's dive.
We're gonna dive. In fact, we're gonna say, okay, diving down. However, we've got Carol with
Hey,
us
Carol.
today. Carol, so good to see you. One of our volunteers, ambassadors, and one of the co-producers for the event that's upcoming. Now, I
Awesome.
actually you I watched you today, and you've been doing shows because you have a show that
hmm
a following and stuff that you do, and let's dive into that first before we go into the show that you had today, because I have to say, when I watched it, I I was really touched. I
Oh,
was really touched. I was really inspired. And we'll go into that. But
okay.
you know, you and I met not long ago, but
No,
it feels like now that we've known
no.
each other forever, right?
I feel like I've been knowing you forever, and it's a good forever.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm
Uh,
loving
uh,
it. I'm loving it.
yeah, and you're in the Chicago area, and yet when I was there, I didn't get a chance to meet you
I
because
know.
I didn't know you then. It's crazy. I got to know you after I left Chicago.
hmm
And you, let's talk about your movement, your diamond movement, and everything, and go into that, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about what it is you're doing with us.
Okay. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Tamara. I mean, I every day is a blessing, and I'm going to say that to be honored to be a part of your wonderful mission. You just don't know. You put every time I think about it, I go to tears because this is so awesome. So thank you for letting me be a part of this awesome, awesome organization. But with that, the Diamond Factor, yes, I started the Diamond Factor, and it's basically your passion, purpose, and your drive, I call it. And I look at it as that's your foundation through life. So when you're dealing with those trials, tribulations, the earthquakes, the volcanoes, all the stuff that kind of blows up around you, you
Right.
always have to remember that what is your main purpose? Because when you still think of that and that passion that drives you, like I'm going to use Samira as a wonderful example, her passion, and you can see this, she glows. I mean, this comes out of her all the time. She glows all the time about her passion. So if anything happens right now in her life, like if something crazy or somebody acts crazy or says something, whatever, she's gonna blow it off. You know why? Because she knows her foundation. She knows her passion. She knows her purpose of what's going on, what she's doing with the Chemo Buddies for Life. So, I mean, that's to me, that's an awesome example to show with the Diamond Factor, because what I want everyone in the world to understand that they have a special purpose. They were not put on this, you weren't put on this earth just to be put on here and say, okay, I'm here. But no, you were put on this earth to be a purpose for something, someone, or something that's going on in the lives of others or going in the lives of yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to push that because when I was younger, I was bullied. At the age of 7 and beyond, I was bullied. I was talked about. People said that I was ugly, stupid, and everything else. Well, and everybody has their stories. I know people go through that. But with me, there were three main elements that happened when I was younger. And first of all was my dad, God rest his soul, that he told me, there he is right there. He told me, he said, don't worry about what they say at school, Barbara. He said, because you're a diamond in the rough. And that started that diamond shining, just a glimpse in my life. And then a teacher told me as I was growing in grammar school. And then when my father passed, and I don't want to take up too much time, but when my father passed, he was basically murdered. at the age of my age of 17. And I was almost going to commit suicide when they brought me to the hospital. So I was on suicide watch. But a nurse came in. And see, this is when I know. See, I always tell people, look at your signs in life because you never know how they're going to save your life. She came in my room and she said, Barbara, I don't know who you are. I just know somebody that really is special in your life passed. But I know that they will not want you to let your life go because you're a diamond in the rough. Tamara. Now, you know that is not a coincidence in life. And when I heard that, I said, something with this diamond.
Yeah.
Something wrong with the diamond. So that's why now, at the age I'm in my 50s now, and I never want to see a person, first of all, when you're bullied. I mean, there's so many, and we could take it a different story with bullying, with not really believing in yourself. I mean, there's so many different topics and subjects we could talk about with that. But the biggest thing, I want to put it all in like one little bowl, as you want to call it, is that you have a purpose. And I don't want anybody to forget that. So that's why my platform is called the Diamond Factor. And I love it.
And and I have to say that when we did your show before, and go back and look on my page and find the show where Barbara is featured as the service hero for an hour, because we really dive into this and I got to know you pretty well during that time. And I have to say that there's just no way to not be inspired by your story.
Oh, thank you.
And then I heard more today. And I'm like,
there's more, and there's more.
And there's more. Yes. And it was like, both you and Rayanne. Both
I know.
You and Rayanne. And I was like,
I'm telling you, Tamara, I didn't know. I mean to cut you off, but real quickly, I didn't know. And I told Rayanne, I said, because we talked a little bit before, and I said, now it's up to you, because I know, these stories that were coming out, it's kind of hard for certain people to talk about, And she said, well, we'll see how it goes and everything. And then all of a sudden, she just flowed right into it. I was even like, because I was like, that's so awesome that she was able to open up like that. It really was.
Yes,
it really was.
Yes. And so, in fact, I have a screenshot of the show that you did earlier.
Yes.
And
yes, she is.
And I want to say thank you for the shows that you're doing, because that's one of the things that our illustrious coach that we all won with the first Global Next Impactor, Jason Cisneros. Thank you very much, Coach Jason. He has been truly teaching us some very vital business tools to be able to be effective, to be on one page, to be able to accomplish massive amounts of very important actions and outcomes, and being able to do it and track it in ways that are quantifiable. And I don't know about you, Barbara, but I continue to learn from the Bald Avenger. I mean, he's got us cracking up, and yet he knows he does.
He knows this stuff.
Yeah, he was talking about this yesterday. He's like, I don't do anything doesn't have, like an end in mind. I might be doing it in a comical way. However, there's a method to the madness, basically, and I'm thinking, yes, there is. And I am seeing the results of it. And it never ceases to amaze me how when you keep something, if you will, relatively simple, because the concept is not that difficult. It's just a matter of being disciplined and working towards a goal, not a goal, an outcome. He's cleared me up on that one, because that's my old lingo. I come from the Franklin Covey crowd. I come from the, that whole, back in the day, we were taught that way, right? And you have your action steps and you do all these things and the top 5 activities and all of that. And he's just brought it to a modern day, and what you're doing right here with the interviews, that was something that you, through this meeting that we have, our leadership meeting, which we call it fondly because it's his way of saying it, the MIO meetings.
Mio, yeah.
MIO, yeah, the MIO meetings. Outcome. Yes, okay, we've got Christopher Kaysen, who is
Hey, Christopher.
his backup when our illustrious coach is not able to be there, because Christopher, for those that don't know, Christopher was on Team Jason during the Next Impactor Challenge. I was not. I was on Team Todd, and we had different ways of running the teams. And Team Jason used this method. And so when Jason hasn't been there, Christopher's helped us through it. So
Awesome.
thank you very much, Christopher, for that. And we've got a lot of people here saying a lot of stuff, and we'll get to guys. I'm not trying to ignore you, but
No.
What I want to do is be able to just say, thank you. I want to say thank you. It's really where I'm going with this. It's a huge thank you, because to have other hosts, to have other media people, to have other people that feel comfortable on camera, being willing to get out there and interview, getting out there and getting the content that you are. And when I watched the show today, I was blown away. Just how grateful I am. And I just wanted to have the moment to wrap that in a nice little bow and say thank you.
Oh. Well, Tamara, this wouldn't even be happening if it wasn't, like I said again, for you having this mission that is so important. And I just feel, like I eat, sleep, and breathe now with it, because I believe in it so much. And especially when, I told my story on, earlier today, and I do still tell it because I don't have a problem doing just like you tell your story, is that I think that's why it's to the heart right now for me, because I don't want to see anybody go through something as I call it, the cancer journey, or the journey in life, to go through by themselves. And you're so right, Tamir, when you say that healing, is the connection is the healing of it.
Yeah, healing through connection.
Healing through connection. I'm sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
It's like, you're so right. It's so powerful. That statement alone is so powerful. And people really need to just take the time, I always say, take that breather for a minute and let it sink in. A lot of times we do a lot of things. We might, be a part of certain organizations. We're like, yeah, we're doing this, we're trying to get this done. But, you really have to take in, what are you really trying to establish? Just like Jason said, our coach, is when he said, what is the outcome? What outcome are you getting out of this? You're just not putting some goals together on a spreadsheet or having a lot of people come together and say, okay, we're going to do this. But what is the final outcome? And I'm loving that, because the final outcome is, you're going to be saving people's lives through their journey of cancer. You're going to be there for them when they hear those 3 words, I have cancer. And it's just, it just boggles my mind that anybody cannot just get hooked to this. It's just, and maybe, it's just me, but but it's just how it is. And to see this group of people, Tamir, in your mission, like when we meet on every Wednesday, like she said, for the leadership, for the MIO meetings, that everybody is coming. And guess what? We're not getting paid for this. We are not getting no money for this. But the payment is to be a vessel, I always say, to help others, to bridge them to Chemo Buddies for Life. That's the payment, and that's the better payment than any money can buy it. I mean that. I really, truly mean that. Sometimes people look at it as, well, I need to get, my time and effort. Well, you know what? Your time and effort is going to helping and save others. That's where the payment is.
Right. And thank you for sharing that. And it's so true. And I will tell you this, anybody that's involved in this program, this is a mission. This is a movement, and it's much bigger than any of us. It's much bigger than me. I always say that there was a download, and I say that because it's a nonprofit, and I'm respectful of the fact that we are dealing with people that will come from all beliefs, every part of the world, that there's no discrimination at all within our nonprofit. And so I'm very careful in how I share the verbiage. However, I I believe that I more than believe, I know that this is an answer to whatever it is that you want to say someone is asking. If it's through meditation, is it through a prayer, if it's through a chant, if it's through just screaming out because of just dear desperateness, there, whatever it may be, and whoever may be listening, whatever your beliefs are, that there could be an answer coming from, there, it's bigger than we are. And the people that are coming, that's what I'm hearing, is that they feel as though they're being called. And there is something to that. And none of us are getting paid. I am not getting paid.
No.
If anything, to get it to this point has come out of my pocket. And so, and yet that I'm not saying that for any reason except for just letting people know that this is not about any of us. This is truly a movement for those people that are hearing that they have cancer and they don't know where to turn. Because there's too many that don't have a support system. And even if they have a support system, what we are finding is within that support system, oftentimes there's going to be that moment that they're going to say they don't understand what I'm going through, because they don't. That's just the reality. Unless someone's been there and done that, they're not going to completely understand. They may have empathy, and love, and be there, but to truly have someone understand what you're going through and be able to say, okay, like this morning when I showed the post, and talked about shaving my head, and and yet now 5 years later, here I am, and it's like, okay, this is one person that's been through it, so I can share with others that if there's a similar experience, I can say, I understand, I am here for you. And there's power in that, isn't there?
Oh, there's so much power in that. Tamara, I have some, one of the things I'm doing through under Chemo Buddy is, I'm doing these interviews of people that are either going through the journey, been through the journey, or know somebody that's going through it. And there's going to be two powerful women that's coming on next week that I'm interviewing. One lady, she just found out she's done with her chemo. I mean, she's totally, her hair is, completely off. She's totally bald. And to see the joy, because I always do a discovery call with them just to talk to them, get to know them a little bit. And just to see the joy of her telling me, Barbara, I'm just so grateful that there's a platform out there in Chemo Buddies and just in general that you're able to interview me or talk to me so I can tell people, that we're humans. Because I had tears because she was telling me, and I hate to give her story because she's going to talk a little bit about it in the interview, but one thing she mentioned is that she's from a different country. Right. And the Virgin Islands, but she lives in Illinois. I mean, she lives in the U.S. And she was telling me how, different cultures, they have to keep it to themselves. Yes. And she had a neighbor that basically went through the whole, was it stage 4 of cancer? Didn't tell anybody because they weren't supposed to, and died in her house. And I was like, oh my God. I said, this is why it's so important.
Oh yeah. What I have found in working with this is that throughout the world there are different social cues. There's different cultural situations, whatever it may be, if it's and different information that's being shared. And some cultures actually still believe that you can catch cancer. That you can actually, that's transferable. There are some that, yes, you're not allowed to speak about it. You have to hide it. You have to hide yourself away from the community. There is so much still throughout the world that we here in the United States, we take it for granted
Yes, that's it.
that okay, now we have the pink ribbon. Whatever you think of the pink ribbon, we have the pink ribbon for breast cancer. You have the different colored ribbons because they're trying, children's cancer, the gold ribbon, those type of things. And so they're trying to bring it into a simplistic way of looking at it. And I get it, because when you start to really look at what is still happening throughout the world, it can be one of two things. It can either completely devastate you, or it can do exactly what this group is doing, and that can be motivate us. And it's motivating us to be able to say, okay, we're done. We're done with that. We're done with that. We are going to find a simple way for us to be able to, with a phone, to be able to, through a digital platform, be able to take the message out there and then have people backing it up, because it's not just, if you will, the digital assets. However, you need to start somewhere. And when you can have it that we can go through a platform that's been created, that you can say, okay, yeah, there's a lot of bad things that happen on the internet. Well, you know what? For all that there's so much good, and you can use it for good. And that's exactly what we're doing with this program, is we are using it for good, and we are gathering people together. And when I was watching your show today with Rayanne, you two were talking about this, and we'll go into it in a moment, but you two were talking about where it's going to go. And there's no doubt in any of our minds, because it's time, right?
It's time.
So let's go into a little bit of your story, because you have a story in regards to cancer.
Yes, I do. So and that this when I say this story, I always say learn from Barbara's lessons. Stories you learn, how at the end of the stories they say, okay, and you know what, this I told you this story because you need to learn this. Well, my story with cancer is I was 43. I'm about to tell my age, but that's okay. At that time I was 43 because I'm 9 years in remission. And thank God. And at that time, when I went to the doctor, and I don't want to get too graphic, but I was having a lot of symptoms. I always had a lot of female issues with my period and stuff like that, menstrual system. And I never really had one. But then all of a sudden, in a year before I turned 43, I was like, it was just bleed. I was just bleeding like I got hurt or something in my stomach or something. And I was like, what's going on? And I said, well, let me go to the doctor, see what's going on with this. So the doctor said, okay, we got to do some tests, see what's happening. This is not normal. So after a while they did the test, they said, okay, well, we see some percentage of some cells. Now he was really I said, okay, what do you mean some cells? And he said, well, and he paused, and I'm human. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at him like, okay, you're not making this any easier for you or I, so you might as well say what you have to say and say it quick so we can just deal with
pull that Band-Aid off.
So he pulled it off finally. He said, well, Barbara, we found out that you have 25% cells in your 25% cancer cells in your uterus, and it's causing some blood to flow that shouldn't flow, right? And I said, okay. And Tamara, the only thing I heard, I said, I heard cancer, but I didn't really hear cancer. And it's kind of weird to say it like that. I was like,
which is not unusual. In fact, that's one of the reasons that we even exist, is because of this very subject. And it's period of time when you're going through the diagnosis and hearing, and there's certain things that we'll be talking about as over time, guys. So, but let's continue in your story. So it's that deer in the headlight, like, okay, things kind of slow down, and it's that whole thing that happens. So,
and then I was like, okay. And so I heard cancer, but then and it seemed like I skipped cancer and I just heard cells, 25% cells, which I don't know why at that point in time that skipped, but it did. So I said,
Right.
okay. So basically they gave me some medication. They said, you need to come back. We just need to really keep an eye on this because to see if we need to do something even more drastic. But right now we just want to keep you in, observation, give you some medication. So, okay, this is where the learning thing curve comes for everybody. So what did Barbara do? Barbara went into denial. She went into denial and she didn't go back to the doctor for a whole year.
Oh.
Yes, yes. And that's why I say learn from Barbara's experience because I think
Yeah,
she went
yeah,
into
we had
denial.
one of those from her too, called Tamara. Yeah, so
Yeah.
keep going.
What you
Yeah.
said, what you said, Tam. So Barbara didn't go, and then things got worse, as everybody probably could imagine. That
Yeah.
now the blood flow was even worse, and it was to the point where I couldn't even sit down without bleed. I couldn't lay down without bleed. I mean, it was just bad. So my husband was like, "Okay, we need to rush you to the hospital because this is ridiculous now." And I said, "Okay, yeah, you're right. I can't." And I was getting weak, and it was just a lot of things were happening. Went to urgent care. Then they took me and they had to make sure I was okay because I was like bleeding so much. And they said, we got to do another test with you, Barbara. We got to rush you to the hospital now because it's that bad. They rushed me to the hospital. They did the test. They found from 25% cancer cell went to 95% cancer cells in my uterus, and it was growing and growing and growing at that time. So the doctor looks at me and he's like, okay, I'm going to let you know. I'm pulling the Band-Aid again real quickly. First of all, I can't get on you about not coming. You wait a whole year. We're not going to go there right now. He said, I'll yell at you later about that.
Right. We have to go to the more important issue. We've got to
The
study these.
important thing is if we don't take care of this quickly, it can get in your lymph nodes and it can scatter all through your body. So what we're going to have to do is at that time, he said, a partial hysterectomy. So he said, but letting with that answers the fact if you wanted children or not, that's not going to happen. So I'm like, okay, in my mind, this is what I'm saying to Tamara. Cancer in whole body, no children. Okay, I think you can do the hysterectomy because I can, children all around, I can always help other children that needs a mother figure, which I've been doing anyway. So I said, okay, let's just, do it. So then after they prepped me, now all this was happening within like 2 hour time because I went from urgent care to the hospital to going into this emergency surgery because they had to take it out quickly. And then when they was putting me to sleep and I was kind of in and out, they were like, okay, if we find out that it's in your ovaries, we might have to do the total hysterectomy. And I was like, so they said, we're going to have to get your signature. I said, you know what? I don't want to see, this is me again. I don't want to see you guys anymore out of this. So if you have to sit there and do whatever, do it so we can get these cancer cells out of me, whatever it is, So they said, okay, fine. They said, but if we don't find out, they said, you might have to do some radiation, maybe some chemo, just to make sure you're okay. And I said, good, whatever you have to do. So I went through the surgery. They had to do the whole hysterectomy on me. They had to take everything out because they found out when they went in, they seen the cancer cells around the ovaries and it was causing more damage. So that's what happened. After that, they was able to get everything out. So I didn't have to go through chemo. I didn't have to go through radiation. I just had to take some more medication just to clear up some other things. And then I was okay for a while. But the lesson, like they said, the lesson learned from that story is basically, and that's why I told myself when I went through all that, Tamara, I said, now this starts the awareness that I have to take on and let people know, first of all, the story, and second of all, for them to make sure they go to the doctor. Don't do the total opposite of Barbara. Do the total opposite. So, go ahead, Tamara.
I was just going to say is that you're not the only one. You're not the only one. And it can be that you're in denial. It may be that you just don't have the time. It might just be whatever it may be. I come from a family of a history, a strong family history of cancer, and yet I didn't go for my first mammogram until I was in my early 50s. I didn't go right on time. And when I finally did it, Yes, my very first mammogram is when breast cancer for myself. And
Wow.
if I had not done it then, it would have been a whole different story. And the bottom line is this too, is that I do say the same thing. Don't, learn from Tamara that you need to do your mammograms, do them when they're very first year you're allowed to, and keep them going on a regular schedule, because if you can find the cancer early, that
Yes.
is the good news. And then with having the program that we have, and creating a movement like we are empowering each one of us to then get through it with each other. Because um when part of that denial, I want to ask, was it possibly, if you had a place like this, a place like Chemo Buddies for Life, where you could have just, I'll like check it out, maybe I can just ask a few questions, and have people that could talk to you about saying, what, do it now, and then be on with your life.
Yeah.
Find out what's going on. Don't run
Yes.
away from it. And do you think that you would have checked it out?
Tamara, it's funny you said that, because I think that's one of the things that drew me to this mission that you're doing, this organization that you're doing, because if I did have the person, they'd have to even be probably a family member, somebody outside of, who, even if I didn't know them, would have just came and said, you know what, Barbara, get it taken care of. Maybe with the 25% sales that they found now, they can do something where the point that maybe you need to have the surgery. See, that's the kind of things you think about. I mean, you can't go back in the past; it's
No,
done.
no, no,
But you
no.
learn, and you want to tell people, like you said, if I had that voice, if I had that, could have picked up the phone and called somebody and just say, you know what, I just heard this. What do you think? Or, I'm thinking this, or I don't even want to go back to the doctor. And maybe somebody would have been like, well, no, had that nice voice to say, no, I think you need to go back. Yes. And that's why like I said, I'm just so drawn to this, because
Right,
it is a need to have somebody there. It
right.
really is.
It is. And when when my doctors and nurses convinced me to look into this, because I had a buddy and we were funny, and in the chemotherapy room, because I did go through traditional treatment, and our platform is, it doesn't matter what type of treatment you go through, just don't do it alone. But with that said, the original two buddies, we threw cancer upside down and all around, and wore big pink ribs, wigs, and went in there, and they called us the party bus and the double trouble, and all sorts of stuff like this. And they're like, we other people need this. Other
Yeah.
people need that kind of energy. Other people, there's too many people feeling isolated and alone. And when my doctor, well, actually it was one of my nurses that actually said something to me and made me really, I mean, it was just like, because we had a party when we graduated, a year and a half after our very first treatment, because I went for a year on one of our drugs, and we both had the same subsection of the type of cancer that we had. So we had both had the same kind of chemo cocktail, but she had to go a year and a half because of different situation. Then, and we were traveling this road together. So I said, no, I'm not graduating until you graduate. We started
Oh,
together, we're ending together. So we did, and and we had a big party. And when we had a big party, we did it big. And then we invited others, and we had coconut bras. We did a luau, and we had the Beach Boys playing, and we had, and we brought the whole
I love
rig
it.
and all this kind of stuff. And they stacked the chemotherapy room with people that we didn't know. We just said, because of HIPAA, we just said, do what you want, but they were in on it, our nurses, because they were in on all of it with us, because they really saw something different happening. And then
Wow.
a half a year later, one of them said, okay, it's time for you to take this serious, because, and they were trying to get me to see that there was a real need for something. They didn't know what, but they knew
Mhm.
something.
Mhm.
And when they told me the story that one of the people that had been at that in that room, that party, that the only time they ever saw her smile was at that day.
See?
Never had seen her smile before, and she had just passed away, and she was not the sickest one in the room because she lost her will to live.
Oh, wow, Tamara.
She lost her hope. She lost she didn't have what she needed to give her what she, to want to continue going. So she just gave up. And when they told me that, that's what it was like. Oh, okay. Take a breath. That and then when I started doing the research and realizing there's science behind this, and that our hearts and our minds really do have something to do with us surviving, and our will to survive has such a huge piece to it. And now that we have this whole movement that is starting to take place, it's pretty incredible, wouldn't you say?
Oh my God, Tamir, just saying that, how, the lady that you said that she smiled for the first time for a long time and then she passed away. And see how the littlest things, like just having just having a celebration, just having a party, just, through this whole process of this cancer journey, and you're having a party and you made that person have something to give, like a light.
Yeah.
Before she passed away. And that's priceless. That is priceless. And that's why this is so, we keep going back. This is why it's so important. That's why I say I can't believe anybody would just hook up and say, you know what? I might not know anybody that have cancer or whatever, but just what you're trying to do to bring those, healing through connection together is just awesome. And I can't, sometimes I don't even have the words to describe it anymore, because it's just like, oh, so I can scream or holler. I just be like, yes, because, just for being a part of this, even if I can just get on and do these interviews, Tamira, I mean, if I can just do that much to show people, give awareness, that just, it takes my heart away. Because, and then listening to these people that are giving me their stories before we do the interviews. Whew, like I was telling you about the lady that just found out she don't have to do no more chemo. It's been, I think, 3 years. And, she's like, and I'm celebrating with her, through our talk, like, oh my God, it's been, and she's like, yes. And that's when she told me about, people that from her other country, they basically banded her because, like we said, with the different cultures, they don't talk about that. So they basically told her that she brought it on to herself while she has cancer. And I'm like, oh, no. I said, yes, chemo buddies for life is for life.
Exactly. We are all about that one word that has 4 letters in it. And it's so important to us that it's in the title of our nonprofit, that last word, life. We are about life. We're all for life. And and as the name came to us in the very beginning, it was okay, and chemo, yeah, some people have a certain feeling about it. That's okay. You can, because it's describing the original 2 buddies in that name. Chemo buddies for life. That's what started it all. It has to start somewhere. And it differentiates us in that we are helping those people that are affected by cancer, and that there's it equates. However, that's why we make it very clear that it doesn't matter what type of treatment someone chooses, just don't do it alone. And that is where when I actually, this morning when I went live and I talked about the simplicity of really what this is all about, and what it really boils down to is exactly what you're talking about, and that is the power of connection, that it is truly healing. And when you have people that are isolated and alone, like these people that are in this other country that you're talking about, and the example of the person that wasn't even able to go outside of their home, and then they passed away there because of the fact that they were basically shunned. And we can change that. And the thing about it too is, like, right now we're on live. You're in Chicago, I'm in Southern California, yet we're looking at each other eyeball to eyeball,
I know.
smile to smile. And when you have these abilities, the time is now, because the technology is on our side. We can use the technology that is out there to connect people that need to be connected, and to do it through a nonprofit where you don't have to pay to be a part of this.
No.
Where, people, when I first started this, like, okay, this is what we're building, this is what, and yes, I tried building the first site, and yeah, crashed and burned it, and actually crashed and burned a couple of them. And then it's, there's been a few different evolutions in where we're going. However, the vision's always been the same.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought here is that some people were like, yeah, you could charge this amount, you could charge that amount. And I'm like, this is not that. We are not a for-profit. We are a nonprofit, and we're a nonprofit for that very reason. It's because will there be some things, we're a corporation, yes, we're a nonprofit corporation. So will there be some things that are special items and special things that will help to keep things going? Yeah, there will be. We have to. Mm-hmm. Will there be sponsors? Yes, there has to be. Will there be alliances? Yes, there will be. However, we will always have, and so that anybody that needs a buddy can have a buddy. And it's not because if they can't afford to have a buddy, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Anywhere in the world, if someone needs someone, they should be able to have someone. And that's huge.
Yes.
That's huge.
Huge. There's no, I like that, because there's no excuse. No. There's no excuse for people not getting, if they want a buddy or volunteer. It's not like, well, I got to pay this, or, well, I got to go through we're not giving you these hoops and all this that you got to go through. I mean, you get online, you get to where the organization online is, and then you sign up, and then you're there. You're a buddy. You're a buddy. Or if you want to give, thanks you, Tamara. I was just trying to remember. And then you get to give either way. Now, I want to just step back for a minute and take the time. This is just for me, because I'm part of I'm volunteering for this wonderful mission that Tamara started. It's in her heart. But I want to thank all the volunteers, because, taking the time out, every Wednesday we meet, and we don't meet for like 15 minutes, say, okay, here we go, goodbye. No, we meet for some hours, because we really want to make sure that we're on target on things, that we're doing moving things. Tamara's making sure that everything is, far as the legal stuff and everything like that is taken care of. She is so, and this is what this, I'm learning from the expert here, her and Jason, everybody, that she wants to make things that are so detailed, because she wants to make things that make sure nothing is going to go wrong, and that it is a good situation where you become a volunteer. You know what the whole program is about. You know what the organization is about. So I want to thank the volunteers, because they're taking their time, their expertise, their skills, and everything, and saying, you know what, we want to be a part of this movement. I call it a movement that Tamara is doing, and that, it's going to help so many people. So many people.
In fact, we have some of them here right now. We've got Stephen Smith out of Florida. He's one of our volunteers, and happy Sunday to you. And of course, we acknowledged Christopher Kaysen. Shine bright like a diamond. I love it. I love it. And Caroline Brown, out of Toronto, Canada, and talking about Jason, Bald Eagle. That's funny. And this is a mission and a movement. This is, and yes, you're right. We have such, every category, because we have different teams. We have to, because we have, everything from the production group. We have the legal group, like you're talking, the compliance team.
Branding.
Yeah, we have branding. Yes, we have writing team. We have administrative people. We have the website development group. We have the graphics. We have our graphics guru, which is Brooke Curran. And we have now we have the talent that's coming to us that is going to be featured on the 36 hours live stream that we bought. Yes, and and when you start counting how many people, the machine that we're building right now, how many people are involved, it keeps growing every single day. And I've lost count. I'm sure Erin probably knows, because Erin, she's our glue.
Erin, oh my God,
she's become like my assistant, and she just keeps things rolling. And I can't even say thank you enough. You're right, to the teams and the volunteers, because yes, they're giving unbelievable amounts of hours to this, because many of them have either been affected themselves, they've had a loved one that's been affected, or they believe in the mission just so wholeheartedly that they just want it there in case anybody that they know ever does become affected, because they see the need. And and our health and wellness team, we've got all these amazing healers that are there to help get our messaging right and everything. We're so very lucky with that. I want to talk a little bit more about your show today, because I know that when you were on with Rayanne, who we all know and love, Rayanne, who is like she is the one that self-proclaimed gives her the title. I won't use the full title, but let's just call her the branding queen. She's our branding queen. She makes sure that our branding stays consistent with our messaging and everything, because when you have volunteers, they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, and you want to respect that completely. Yet we do need to take this, because we are going global, and we want to be able to make sure that the message is correct and consistent across all the different platforms that we're using. And when you were visiting with her today, and I got the notification, and it was in between things that I was working on, and I was working on something that I could actually watch it. And I thought, wow, you were really able to pull in such a loving way what it was that she had experienced in her journey with cancer through her friend, and then in her own life. And then you two were both talking about the need. And let me just say what that did for me. What that did for me was this. I was removed from it completely. I wasn't involved in the production of your show today. I didn't even know who was your guest or when you were going live. And I got a notification just to watch. When I first got the notification, I didn't even know what the subject matter was. I just clicked on. And when I watched this and I heard what you guys had to say, it let me know it was a third-party validation to what we are doing is so huge. And I can't even say thank you enough for that, because, to be working on this for the last 3+ years, and now have all these people, that it is now exactly where I knew it would go. And this was a moment in time I will never forget, because it was, I didn't put 1 ounce of energy into today except for to watch. That was an amazing gift, and I can't say thank you enough.
Okay, I'm a crybaby, so myself here. But That's an honor just to hear you say that, Tamara, because this is your baby. This is, you started this. You started this where everybody's coming together. And, it's just an honor to hear the person is the heart. You're the heart of this. And to hear you tell me that, so that just tells me that I hope I'm on the right track,
Oh, you
helping
are.
you accomplish your mission. And that's what it's all about. I always tell people, it's not everybody, we have our own brand, we have our own little company, whatever we do. But it's so awesome when you can collaborate and come together and bring out something that is just so awesome and so beautiful together. And
Right.
that's what I really love about this.
And I just want to correct one thing on that, and that is this is our movement. This is our movement. And that's the thing that I saw in your show today. And that is what touched me so much, because both of you were talking about how important this is and why, and using stories and using real experiences and real live people and people that have passed in their memory, and how important this is. If you can just share a little of that right now, because that touched me in such a way, what you guys were talking about.
Well, it's like I said, it was kind of blew my mind too, because like I said, before we did the interview today, I always do like a check-in just to make sure this is what we're going to talk about. This is what we want to bring. We want to make sure people understand about Chemo Buddies. What's it about? They can volunteer or donate or either or both. So, Rianne was like, yes, we're ready. Let's do this. And, we get on and we start talking, but she told me a little bit, just a little bit about her, cancer that she has. She was talking about what she had to deal with. And I said, now it's up to you if you want to talk about that. I always respect people because I don't want to, overstep. And she's like, okay, we'll see how it flows. Not only did she just talk about what she went through, but then she started talking about the bond and the relationship with her and her friend that passed away through cancer. And I'm telling you, I needed tissue then. My whole body just shook, because first of all, you could just tell the relationship, the friendship was so close to the point where she was telling her friend that she wished she could take away the pain and everything that she was going through. I'm sorry.
No, I hear you. And yes, I mean, I had
Really
my
dealing
tissue
with
going
that.
through the whole time too.
Just dealing with this cancer and saying to tell somebody, you know what, I wish I could take the pain away from you. And this is talking from, we ain't even talking about a family member. They weren't even family members. They were friends. I mean, of course she passed away, but the time that she was with her and to tell her that and to say, I love you, I care about you, and I don't want you going through this pain by yourself. That's why Chemo Buddies, and that's why I wanted to bring it back to say, this is why Chemo Buddies for Life is so important. It's
Right.
so important. I'm sorry.
Right. No, sorry. Because this lets people know right now that this is real. You don't cry when it's not real. This this is so deep and so needed, and there are too many people that are out there alone, and they don't have that person that's there saying that they wish that they could take the pain away, that they just don't know where to turn, because when if you're like I was put in isolation. I wasn't even allowed outside of my house. I wasn't even allowed outside of my room because we had pneumonia in the house. And so I literally was put in solitary confinement for months while I was only allowed out of my room when I went to the car to go get another treatment every 3 weeks. Other than that, basically they I used to joke, okay, so what are you going to throw under the door to me today? But I didn't have a voice, but it was like,
Oh my God.
yeah, because I mean, literally, I had a refrigerator in my area, and because you just have to do what you have to do. And in our situation, living in my home, I had 4 generations, 3 people in the house had pneumonia.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and so you just you do what you have to do. There's no accident in that. Because what happened was, because I had someone that I was able to, through digital means, I didn't have a voice, I was able through my phone, I was able to have a messenger app. We used the messenger app. It was that simple. And today, to this day, sometimes the conversations that my original buddy and I had, I think, was that by our voice or was that through our fingers? Because I remember the conversations. I just don't remember the delivery method, because our brains have a way of being able to connect. And that is not by accident either, because and I've talked to the NLP, of which I am almost certified now, and to try to understand all of this, and to understand that our conscious and unconscious brain and the bridge between the two, we won't remember right now. Everybody watching right now will not necessarily remember. Was I in the room with Tamara and Barbara when we were talking about this? Was and even like the comments that were made, did I say that out loud or did I type it with my fingers? Because our brain is going to remember the conversation. They may not remember the delivery method. That is why we know that what we are doing with this movement is actually working. It is working. We have the social proof that it is, because we've been testing it for the last few years as we have been growing this to a point where now it's taking off. So we are having our big event on Giving Tuesday, which actually we're starting it on Cyber Monday, which is December the Monday, the 2nd, and then for 12 hours. So it starts at noon at Pacific time, and then it's going to go for 24 hours, the whole Giving Tuesday. Now, we are going to entertain you. We are going to inspire you. We are going to be going remote from all parts of the world. And we are raising funds because we are not going to charge people to be a part of our program. So we had to do this somehow. At some point in time, it is a nonprofit corporation, and we do need to be able to run it, and then we need to be able to help ease the suffering of those that we are helping. And we are creating the hub that many of the other nonprofits will be able to also join us. And so we will be able to bring some of the resources that the other ones have, so that we don't have to do the same thing that others are doing. No, we're not going to do that, guys. So your money is not going to be wasted. We are collaborative. And I mean, Barbara, I think, is saying it very well in wanting to recognize all of the volunteers, because that's a collaboration of incredible people that are purpose driven, and we're working together to make a difference. And why would that change in creating this hub? We're going to do the same thing with bringing the nonprofits, that is, as long as they're in the same kind of mindset that we are, and that our missions go hand in hand. But we've already been talking, we already know some of them, and we're going to be able to have a hub, a place where people can come home and get better and get through their journey of cancer and move on in their lives, right?
Yes, because we're kicking cancer in the butt.
I love that. You made me laugh when you did that. You said, oh yeah, she says you're kicking cancer to the curb. I'm going to say we're kicking it in the butt. I love it. So, as we start to close this up, what do you have to say for those people that are saying, yeah, it sounds good, but no way. There's no way. Not-a-profit in the cancer world, no, they end up just wanting to be all about themselves, and they're not going to serve us. What do you have to say to that?
Well, what I have to say is that somewhere, you have to stand for something. I believe in that in life, period. Be it an organization like this or any organization, but there's a need out there. there's a statistic out there that over 1 million people are going to find out those 3 words that they're going to hear from the doctor, and it's going to say you have cancer. Just like myself and Tamara went through, and a lot of others that you're going to see through these interviews. And those 3 words, they can be powerful to be identity in somebody's life, or it can be useless and make them cancer conquerors.
Right.
But the only way to do that is to have somebody between those 3 words that they hear and the person that's hearing it, is to have that buddy in the middle to help them along the way. And that's nothing to take for granted. And it doesn't take any time, any energy. It just takes you being that middle to save that person so they can be, you know what, cancer is not my identity. It's just something that I'm going through, a stepping stone to make me more of a conqueror than I am right now.
Exactly. More of a diamond.
Yes.
A diamond queen.
Shine like a diamond.
Yeah, because we are supporting people, all cancers, all stages. That person that heard those words for themselves, and then those people that love and support them. Yes, that could be everybody in the world. However, not everybody's going to need us. Not everybody's going to want us, but we are going to be there for those that do. And so, yes, it is priceless, yet we are raising funds on Giving Tuesday. So it's going to be fun. Join us and go to the website now, because we have a goal. No, we have an outcome. Let's keep it
there
right.
you go. Got an outcome.
Yeah, Jason Cisnero, I'm getting it right. I mean, like, how many times, Tamara, do I have to say that? How many? I mean, have we not heard that a few times? Okay, yes, Jason, I'm getting there. Okay, yeah, okay, yes. We have an outcome of $50,000. We can do this. However, we need people to engage, and we need them to engage now. We need corporations to join us. We are a great cause, and you will be with us for this next year should you join us now. And the benefit, being crowned the first global next impactor, I've been saving it up. I've got $100,000 worth of a team of PR. That's one of the coaches, and I've been saving it until we're ready and we have it. Like, okay, bullet, there we go, and we're gonna start pulling that card. And so it makes a lot of sense that if you want to have a cause marketing situation where you look like a superstar because you chose this nonprofit, there's a lot of benefits for the companies that decide to join us now. Join us sooner than later, and take advantage of the fact that as long as we can get along and we see that there's a good match, we're going to take you all the way with us and take you global with us. So, yay. I want to thank you for everything that you are doing. And as we close, is there any last pearl of wisdom that you want to leave us?
Well, like I always say with my diamond factor, is that remember that you do have a purpose, that you're here for a reason, be it for Chemo Buddies or for any organization or just what you're doing in general, just to know that you were put on this earth to do something and to make an impact in people's lives and your own. So just remember that. Shine. I always say shine like a diamond, but shine. You have a diamond within you. You have something special with you. Don't just tell yourself, well, it's nothing. Everything that you do in life is something. It's your purpose, it's your passion, and your drive all together, your foundation.
I love it. Okay. So as we close, day number 336 of 365 days of awesome, celebrate success through service. Barbara Beckley, I want to say thank you for choosing to be one of our very valuable volunteers. Thank you for all the interviewing that you're doing. Thank you for believing in our movement, and thank you for helping to make it happen. And most of all, I want to say personally, thank you for the experience that I had today, because I will never forget it. It was something that I will treasure. So go out there and make it a great day, everyone.
Yes.
Bye. And
Love
don't
you.
forget to donate. And sign up as a buddy. You can go to the site and sign up as a buddy today.